you. I'm excellent. Good to see
Same, same. Welcome, Lucy Solange, our MDA, Modern Day Assistance Ambassador for the Brazil, our fourth group of Brazil. Marcela, Carolina, Mirela, all welcome on board. Let me tell everybody that we already have our Zoom open. Just one second. Wonderful, wonderful. So everybody preparing for Mother's Day here. Tomorrow is Mother's Day here in Brazil.
you.
Same? Wow.
Yes,
Wonderful, wonderful.
indeed. Yes. Lovely to see everybody. How are you? So
Great.
many people
Thank
I
you,
know.
Lucy. It's a
Great.
pleasure
Good.
to be here.
Lovely to see you, Marcella.
It's an honor to be with you in this day, Lucy.
Oh, thank you so much. Really, really nice to see you. Thank you, Carolina. Good to see you. So many
Solange,
familiar faces. Nice.
Hi,
uh,
Lucy.
Hi,
Saudades.
Solange. Oh, long time no see, my friend. I shall look forward to being back with
Yeah.
you later in the
Mhm.
year.
Yes, so nice to be with you.
and it's so interesting because today's live, I am exactly the place where we're going to be having the Modern Day Assistance Brazil, the 25th and 26th of September. I am at the Royal Palm Plaza Resort here in Campinas. And we're preparing for the great FISEC event, the forum, Innovation Forum for Executive Assistants, the international one. And it's exactly the same place where we're going to be receiving your Brazil students, C-level executive assistants, Lucy, and it's so beautiful. We're doing all the covering, the photos, the filming this weekend, and we're going to put it in social media for everybody to know what a special spot here in Brazil, in Campinas, on the state of São Paulo, that we picked to be able to do the MDA here in Brazil, Lucy. You're gonna love it here.
I'm so excited about coming back, and the resort looks lovely. I looked it up online, of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. But everybody is welcome here at our live, our first live, that we're going to be continuing on Pepita Secretaries Club Insta with the alumni that already had participated on the MDA, Modern Day Assistance Brazil, courses in the last 3 years, because this is our fourth one having Lucy present. She's going to be here on Thursday and Friday for the MDA. And sure, she's going to be with us also on the stage of FISEC that we're planning to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people already from all around Brazil. We're having some international delegations also, and around 1,000 on the online platform that we have Isabela Ribeiro. She's going to be with us in some minutes also. She's the other MDA ambassador for Brazil. So, Lucy, again, welcome, welcome here on our virtual
Thank you,
stage.
Pepita.
I know that your book is, wow, also a bestseller and everything. And we're going to be having the book also for the modern day assistants. So tell us about all this. For me is it's the most focused and international program, the modern day assist, so complete and everything, totally on hands to not only have all the theory, all the knowledge, all the roadmap, but everything is like putting in practice. So it's a very hands-on program. But you're the master of the masters, so please tell us about all the plans of this spectacular program.
you, Pepita. It was such a joy to write the book because the book was, I have about 500 slides for the course, but I usually end up training about 300 of them. And we go exactly where the audience wants to go, really. So the delegates, dependent on how discussions go and how they want to move it, it's pretty bespoke to how they are. So, of course, there is an outline as to what I'm teaching, but the book is the entire thing, except for, of course, as I always say, this is a profession that is changing so fast that we don't have time to keep up with ourselves. So, in fact, particularly at the moment, the course changes every time I train it because now we've got the AI element. And when I first started training this course 10 years ago, of course, there was nothing to do with that. But now in the last year, there has been so much development in that area that really there's a whole new section in that when we're talking about automation and AI at the beginning as to how we can really make that work for assistants. And in fact, assistants are the fastest adopters globally, according to LinkedIn and Microsoft, of AI. 16% of all job families are using it. It's the assistant job family, as I said, is the fastest adopter of any job family globally. And in fact, the usage has doubled. It was 24% last year. It's 56% this year that are using AI. And so there's huge pieces to talk about there, particularly because I know so many assistants are worried about what that means in terms of your role and where it's going to take the role. And to me, AI is just going to fundamentally change the way we do business, full stop. Bill Gates is saying that it's the most important development since the mobile phone and the internet. It isn't product, it's going to be a skill. And those of you that are old, like Pepita and I, will remember when the internet came in and all the companies were sitting there saying, well, I'm not sure really, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and let's build our own intranets because we don't want to share everything because there's all the confidentiality piece and everything else. And then they suddenly realized it was going to fundamentally change the way that we did business. And they all jumped on it immediately. And then they wanted us to understand how to use it yesterday. So there's a whole piece in there as to the things it's going to free you up from doing, which actually I think is finally going to break the glass ceiling for assistants and certainly shows the value that you bring to each organization. And so that's really a big part of it. But so we're obviously looking at where the profession has been and where it's going to and how it's evolving as it is. And very exciting, I think it is. If you think about the assistant and you think about the tools that you've used over the years. So think about the technology over the years. And we started with a typewriter. Then we went to word processing. Then we went on to computers and then the internet. Then we've moved into cloud computing. And finally, here we are with AI. On the opposite side, at every stage, the career has grown with the increase in technology, but it hasn't meant you get more work. What it's meant is that the depth and the breadth of the work that you're doing has become more and more important. So modern day assistant as an administrative business partner is really looking at how we shift from you being task doer and reactive into being strategic and proactive, and where you go to find that information and how you can make sure that you're future proofing your career so that your executives go, wow, I have got exactly what I need from my administrative business partner. We're working together to hit goals. They're doing their side of the work. I'm doing my side of the work. And really, it's so powerful when we get that kind of rhythm of work going with your executives. Pepita, you're muted, I think.
It's incredible. It makes so much sense with all the challenges, and it's worldwide challenges. That makes so much sense because now that we are connected with everybody, the pandemic forced us to connect even more. No? It was an opening. Our FISEC today has 44 countries online that follow that. Wow, that never happened in 2019. And everything is the speed is so incredible that we do not have to be like afraid of that. We have to be surfers on this transformation, no? Very agile and really embrace everything. And and I see the flow of the modern day assistant, the course, the book, and everything. It makes it a very concrete road map for your development.
Yes. Agreed, Pepita. If you don't have a map, how are you ever going to know where you're going? And most assistants are living in a world where they have to be reactive because so much of the work is about crisis management and firefighting and trying to keep up with what is thrown at you. But actually, where your career is developed is where you're doing the planning and the risk management and the implementation and design of processes and a lot of the work that we do within this course now is about getting you to think for yourselves and really understand where you can go to get the information you need to take yourself from being here to being here. And really, it's the assistants that are here that are going to really thrive with AI, because the task-based reactive stuff is going. I've been saying it for 10 years, but it's really being borne out now. I had a conversation this week with a recruiter who was saying that the roles that are, calendar, travel, expenses, email, but basic level, are going. They're just not getting those roles anymore. And the roles that they are seeing absolutely thriving are the ones that are more strategic and where the organization is able to use assistants to do project management and data analysis and research and really feeding into the communication piece on behalf of their executives. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at how to make you a far more rounded assistant that is no longer support, but is core business and is respected for being a subject matter expert in administration.
And it's very interesting because I know that you are always in movement. You're flying all around the globe, and and I know how much you love to be having good conversations with the executive, with the C-level executive assistants. But you also have very good conversations with the CEOs, the presidents, the VPs, with the human resource and everything. And I would ask you, to make a really match, what are they seeking for? What are this core competence that they really see as very top of line and everything? Because I know that is what you really cover to put them on the shining place, huh? To really value and teach also their executives and human resources what we are really able to deliver. Huh?
Yes, absolutely. I spend an inordinate amount of time these days. I mean, I do my courses, but it used to be that I would be traveling just speaking to assistants. And now that's very much not the case. Now I'm speaking all the time to your executives and your HR departments, mainly because we're talking about global skills matrix and career frameworks and how we implement those. And it's so interesting because when I talk to your organizations, they're asking some really interesting burning questions. They want for the first time to understand how they measure the value of an assistant. Post-COVID, organizations have got almost obsessed by return on investment and the value of each employee. And it never used to include assistants because they would be working across departments. And of course, because assistants don't have their own department, they are sat in a situation where they are siloed, I guess. So they would look and go, well, have we done the whole sales department? Have we done the whole finance department? And of course, assistants sit as part of that. But now they're looking at you almost as your own function. And more I'm seeing organizations that are setting up functions for the administrative professionals so that just like everybody else, they can monitor performance. And at its heart, Global Skills Matrix is that. But also, so many executives don't get trained in how to use assistants. They're not taught that at business school. And so I'm doing an awful lot of talking to them about how that works. But the kind of questions are things like, how do we monitor performance to stop it being based on opinion rather than fact? So not, oh, she's a nice girl and she does my calendar nicely, so let's give her a pay rise. It's looking at what are the skills and competencies so that everybody has a level playing field, so that when we're measuring the performance of an assistant, it is all across that level playing field. It isn't based on opinion. How are we making sure that the right executives are using the right assistants? You don't want a top executive having somebody who is relatively relatively low level as an assistant supporting them. You want them to have a supersonic assistant who understands the organization so that you can make them supersonic. Don't forget how powerful you are. An amazing assistant has the power to take a mediocre executive and really turn them into something spectacular. So this is what I'm trying to help you to do. And then, are the executives using their assistants properly? Because clearly many of them are not. And this doesn't just have implications for productivity. Of course, it has implications for productivity, because if you're saving them time, that drops to the bottom line and it means they can go and do more of the work they're paid to do. But it's also, Pepita, very much around well-being. You know, I can remember when I had my first assistant, I was very much sitting there thinking, I need to do my work. If I don't do my work, I'm being lazy. So I would be in the office till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I very rarely saw my children because, of course, if you're doing back-to-back meetings all day, you're going to spend late time in the evening in the office doing the actual job and doing the work. It didn't occur to me that I could be using her differently. And I suspect that I was going home exhausted and she was going home bored to tears. And so really, I talk to assistants a lot also about the fact that if you manage the rhythm of your executive's life and allow them to understand where they need to do work and plug that into their calendars and start thinking about how they might exercise, how they might have lunch. That's one of the best things my assistant ever did for me, putting lunch in my calendar, right? Because at about 4 o'clock, I usually go, I'm so hungry. Why am I so hungry? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. Now I go get that. But you know, if assistants manage their executives properly, the stress goes, the burnout goes. And do you know how much companies spend on trying to stop that stuff happening? If they just used their assistants properly, there wouldn't be any of that nonsense. So, you know, how are we aligning skills with needs to make sure that the right assistants are looking after the right executives? How are we ensuring we're getting return on investment from each assistant? And they love me coming in to talk to them, because halfway through they suddenly look really, oh, okay, fine. And when I say, why does your organization employ assistants? They have no idea. But very often the assistants don't have any idea either. So it's all quite interesting, just as an enlightenment piece, probably.
Yes, that is incredible. And it's so interesting because there are some special skills that every time they are seeking more, seeking more innovation, seeking more creativity, seeking more really transforming the problems and challenges and bringing solutions. So all this protagonist, all this leadership, all this influence, it's always very well welcomed by the top executives, by the organization, correct?
And you know what's so interesting, Pepita, and this was a real eye-opener for me this week. One of the clients that I was training this week said to me that since I was in there last, their HR had been looking at employing 3 more executives. And she made the business case that actually they didn't need 3 more executives. What they needed was to train the assistants properly and maybe to hire a couple of new assistants, because the executives are expensive and they just weren't allowing the assistants to serve them properly and to utilize the assistants properly. And so the executives actually, by hiring a couple of new assistants and training the assistants they've got properly, the executives have become supersonic. So they didn't need more very expensive executives. What they needed was the assistants to be skilled so that they can support properly. Far more cost effective for the organization to do it that way.
Wow. That is wow. I never heard a story like that. It's incredible. And also how they see that it's an investment, what return they would have with that investment now. So really presenting these cases and showing how important, how valuable is to invest on the development of this assistant. That is so strategic for the organization and for the executive and the assistant, right?
Absolutely. I would be saying to every company, before you're spending a fortune on employing new executives because you can't get the executives you've got to the work that you need them to do, are you using your support staff properly to make sure that the executives are maximizing their effectiveness? So to me, so often when we're talking modern day assistant, and I'm talking to organizations about whether they should book it or not, because as well as doing this, of course, going and doing the courses like I'm doing for you in Sao Paulo, I also do a lot of going into companies and training it at companies. And wherever we're talking to them, they're saying, okay, so what can we expect from this? And what's the return on investment going to be on my assistant booking onto this course or us having you in to come and do this? The return on investment is the fact that on average, the productivity of the assistant and therefore the executive goes up by 25%. If you're freeing up 25% of the executive's time, it's 25% of their very expensive salary that drops to the bottom line. And that also frees up their time to go and do other things that are going to generate money for the organization. So it's actually quite a simple business case to make. If your assistant is really understanding what their role is, which is to maximize time and maximize the salary that that executive is being paid, then suddenly it all makes absolute sense.
Uh-huh. Totally, totally. And it's very interesting because all the years, since 2019, and Lucy is always on the stage of ISEC. And then now is the fourth time that she's not only in the stage of ISEC, but always bringing a customized modern day assistance for Brazil. And now, not only that, but we all also are going to be visiting the corporations that are interested in having the MDA in company, because we have organizations that have a very good number of executive assistants or a group of corporations that could gather also. So just for you to know that we also have this type of model that we're going to be starting doing all this visiting this year, okay?
Yeah, and Pepita, what really works so well with that is that usually if I'm going in-house and I'm training in-house, they will grab me to talk to the executives while I'm there, which I'm very happy to do because clearly if I'm training the assistants, what always happens is the assistants go, we've learned so much, but it would be so helpful if you could just talk to our executives. So usually I do that. And usually I also have a meeting with HR to say, how can I help you to make sure that you're utilizing your assistants properly, that you're working properly with them so that they're delivering the kind of return on investment the organization needs. And what's also really lovely is that the book just won the 2024 International Book Award for Career Book of the Year. So, I was thrilled about that clearly because I'd written it, but I was also really thrilled about that because if it's being seen as a career rather than a job, we're really getting there. And against all the other career books internationally, to have a book about assistance recognized as Career Book of the Year says that companies are really starting to understand that this is a vital part of their infrastructure.
Yes, yes, totally. And we're gonna have the book also at a booth on FISAC and also during the training. But in 2026, we have a goal to have that book translated in Portuguese also, to have the Portuguese version, okay? The MDA, well, it's delivered by incredible Lucy and everything. So it is in English. The students, I would say, Solange, practically all of them, like 99% are Brazilians. Sometimes we receive somebody from other countries of Latin America, but 99% are Brazilians. And just for them to know also the methodology of the course, because there's a lot of exercises, of conversations and everything, right, Lucy?
So we start off by talking about the profession and where it was and where it's going, because I think it's really important to understand the why before we understand the how. And there's a piece which is all about communication, and the communication piece examines your own self-awareness and your behaviors and your value systems and why you behave in the ways that you do, but also a lot in there about communication, because at the heart of this profession is communication, right? When things go wrong, it's mainly because of communication problems. Then we move into looking at how office politics, and we do a little piece about that and why you should be afraid for your executive and not of them. We do some emotional intelligence pieces, and then we move into how you partner with your executive. And that's kind of part one of how you partner with your executive. It's looking at it in quite a lot of depth. Then on day two, we do a piece which is about an hour on tech, and everybody shares the tech that they're using and what they think might be useful, and I throw some ideas in there as well, and we have a really nice discussion about that before we move on to talking about business strategy. And the business strategy piece is really meaty. It can be relatively uncomfortable, but it's meant to be. It's meant to get you really thinking about how that works, and we send you off to do a couple of exercises there where you're really going to find yourself stretched, but by the time you finish that session, I know that's one of the sessions when we get the feedback afterwards where people go, that blew my mind, but in such a good way. And business, I've been a CEO, I've been a publishing director. When I wrote the book, they said, write the chapter that you're going to enjoy writing most, the first. And so I wrote the chapter on business strategy first, because that's my background. So I understand totally how that works with the assistant role. And once we finish that, we do some productivity, some problem solving, and we finish with stress and how to manage stress, which might seem a very weird one to end on. But actually, I think because there has been so much change, and because there is, project management is in there as well. We do 2 hours on project management. Sorry, I'd forgotten that one. But when we get to the end, I think there's so many different new skills that you're being expected to learn, and the profession is changing so fast. It is all really stressful. And we want to make sure that you're able to deal with that and to give you all sorts of ways to deal with the stress that comes specifically from being an assistant. That isn't a generalist session at all. It's very much what are the things that as an assistant cause you stress and how can you mitigate that?
It's very interesting. It's very intensive, I would say, because it covers so many important parts, nah? But having everything introduced and putting that in action, because there's many exercises that are done together in the groups and everything, gives them a very, very clear roadmap on how to continue that and put that in practice, right, Lucy?
Yes, I think there is some theory in there. There's an enormous amount of practical in there. And the feedback that we get is that they go back to their offices and implement all sorts of things immediately. And that's what I want. I want for you to learn how to go and have those conversations. And I think more than anything else, it's a change in mindset. I think most of the assistants that do the course go back understanding how valuable they are and what they bring to an organisation that is different to what anybody else might bring. And for the first time, really understand that just in the same way as marketing is a subject matter expert in marketing, or finance is a subject matter expert in finance, the assistant, when they're trained properly, is a subject matter expert in administration. And when your organisations understand that, it becomes very powerful.
Yes, definitely. And it's very interesting because we're going to be focusing on that on a beautiful place, as I told everybody that we are at this moment with our leaderships of São Paulo at the Royal Palm Plaza Resort, spectacular place. And on Thursday and Friday, we're going to have the MDA here. And then Saturday, Sunday, the FISEC. So most of the people that are coming, even from São Paulo, they are staying here because it's a complex. So it has hotels 3 stars, 4 stars, and the resort that is 5 stars. So budget for everybody, okay? People that are coming from outside the state of São Paulo then flies directly to the airport of Viracopos. That is 10 minutes to the Royal Palm Plaza Resort. And the training space is going to be at the resort, okay? So we're gonna be in a very wonderful place. It's gonna be very, very intensive, but also there's gonna be time. Most of the people are staying directly here to do a lot of network with great C-level executive assistants from many different companies. So that it's something I would say a plus for everybody to really see the challenges and the strategies that each one is having, right, Lucy?
Yeah, very definitely. And I think it's a huge part of it, actually, getting together with other assistants. And very much the assistants say to me, oh, thank goodness, it's not just me that's got these issues. Or you've got things where you think, I really can't get my head around how to do that. And we'll throw it out to everybody else and we'll talk around it, you know? So great. You'll end up, I always say at the beginning, this is a network of assistants that you'll now have for life. And so much can be done by having a network of people who are that powerful.
Yes, yes,
That
definitely.
powerful. You know, Pepita, I am really happy to take questions from the audience as well. So if anybody has questions about anything to do with either the course or with just the profession full stop, I'm really happy to take some questions.
Wonderful. And I was going to ask that before opening for questions. Everybody that has any questions, please write it also on the chat, okay? Because we're going to put together questions and answers. So we want to see also all the questions. And please, everybody introduce themselves on the chat also, your name, where are you from, the city, the state, and do put your LinkedIn, okay? Because we have to connect everybody by LinkedIn. That is a professional connection. All of you should have a champion LinkedIn, okay? So please share that, your name, the city that you're from, and your LinkedIn, okay? And any questions that maybe you don't want to say it in public, but write it down at the chat, okay? Marcella.
Fabulous. Hi, Marcella.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you
How
for
are
all
you?
this. Hey, thank you for all these precious insights here. And I have a question. It's not related to the MDA, which
Yeah.
I'm striving to participate. I hope I can participate. I live in Rio, so it's a little bit distant, but I'll try to get there. My question is, I was working for the same company for 14 years, and now I'm back
Oh.
in, yes, I'm getting back to the market because there was a layoff and so on. And my question is, when I'm doing job interviews, when I get the level to talk to the VIP, to the C level, to the CEO, what would be your insights? What would you advise for me to sell myself to the executive as a strategic partner? How can I show him that I am a valuable asset for the company and not only an assistant to do tasks?
I think that's such an excellent question. And I think both that and when you actually get the job is very it's very clear that you should lead it to me. I think when you are going in for interview with somebody, you can sit and you can ask, you can let them ask you questions and you can answer, but that isn't terribly proactive. And if what you're doing is wanting to show them how proactive you are, sometimes asking them questions, sometimes asking them the questions can really help. It stops you from looking like you're small and not understanding what it is that you're capable of doing. Ask them the kind of questions which you think they are going to show, which are going to show you as being confident and proactive and strategic and having clarity of thought, and that you're in demand, you know? So, what about asking about the company's values and cultures? So, how does this company demonstrate that it values its administrative professionals or its assistants? Or are there any assistants on your leadership or project teams? Or can you share one of the career journeys of one of the assistants here here so that I can see how their careers might progress? Or what about asking what's the perception of an assistant within this organization? And then maybe I would always want to meet with your potential executives. So you could ask, how do they like to be challenged? How do they handle feedback and boundaries? Have they ever worked with an assistant before? Have they ever worked with a strategic assistant before? And then maybe, what does success look like in this role? Or what's broken that you're hoping an assistant will fix? Or what's the level of access that this role has, both to the executive and to the business? And I think my very favourite is, if I join this company, how are you going to invest in my development to make me as useful to the organization as possible? I think in these questions, if you're asking them those questions, they will learn about you, what it is that makes you tick. It proves to them that you're not somebody who's going to sit back and just be told what to do. It immediately says you're strategic just in the questions you're asking. And it says, I'm not here to be interviewed. I'm here to decide whether you're a good enough company for me. But the answers to their questions are going to tell you who they are and what they value, and whether they are going to treat you like a business partner or a glorified diary manager. So if you're wanting to be strategic, ask the strategic questions so that you then get to find out exactly what it is that's making them tick. Can I
Wow.
say one
Perfect.
other
Thank
thing to
you
you?
so much.
Can I say
Thank
one other thing to you, which is that always, if I have an assistant who's getting a new executive, I would suggest that you go and meet with them before you start the job. So you're doing that off-site, so you are not sat there on their territory. If you suggest that you meet with them beforehand, particularly, if it's brand new role, start talking to them about, have you had an assistant before? How do you like your calendar managed? I would like to be involved with the leadership meetings, because then you're not going to have to explain loads of stuff to me. I'm going to get the information. What kind of projects do you see me working on? What does the first 90 days of me working for you look like? And how do we... So do that before you even hit your first day, so that you're really clear what that rhythm is like. But also take the global skills matrix and say, this is the level that I see myself as. This is the kind of service that you can expect from me. Shall we talk about how we're going to make that work so that you are the best that you can possibly be?
Wow, wow.
Thank you so much.
I always say that
Pleasure.
our lives with Lucy Brazier, they're not lives, they are totally focused on training, on strategies and everything. And I love that. Carolina Abreu, the stage is yours.
Carolina, how are you?
Hello, fine, Lucy, and you?
Yes, great. Thank you. So good to see you.
Yes. Lucy, I have a question. I've been working as an executive assistant for more than 15 years, working for companies, and now I'm planning to make a transition for my career to be a virtual assistant.
Wow,
Uh,
okay.
Yes, so I would like to know in the MDA training if it will be help me to have the mindset to have this transition of my career. If it will can be help me, and what can how can I explain? How can you help executive assistant working by myself? How this training can be help me for me?
Okay, so I think an executive assistant and a virtual assistant are very similar roles in terms of what you are delivering. And I think modern day assistant will very much show you the cutting edge version of what an assistant looks like. And it will change your mindset to think about it from the point of view of the value that you're adding to the business that you're working with, or the businesses you're working with, so that you can make a better sales case when you're talking to organizations about taking them on as clients. I think it isn't specific for virtual assistants. If you are going to understand fully how to do that role, it's things like compliance and making sure you've got the right insurances in place. And also understanding you're going to have to do your own marketing and your own sales, which quite often assistants who go into the virtual assistant role don't understand where they might go and do that. And we don't cover that side of it. But what I do is to show you how to be the very best assistant that you can possibly be and to understand your own value so that when you're having those conversations with organizations about how they might take you on as a virtual assistant, you can talk about what the role is going to do for them and why you are delivering return on investment for them paying for you.
Oh, great.
Does that make
I'm
sense?
very anxious to be there with you. Thank you very
I
much.
would love to see you. I would love to see you. Thank you for attending
Wonderful.
today.
And taking advantage of what you said also, Carolina, I want to present our two MDA Modern Day Assistants Brazil ambassadors. We have Solange Bezerra and Isabela Ribeiro that are here to give you all the support. They're going to be putting the email specifically for the international programs. And they're going to be talking about also, there's a business letter that Lucy's teams developed that you could be sending or presenting to your executive, to your HR manager. To really focus on this value, on the return on investment that they would have on top of that. So just briefly, I want Solange and Isabella to present yourselves and tell them how could they access you and how you can support them. Beginning with Solange.
Okay. Hi. In English or Portuguese?
Whatever, português?
Tá bom, tá bom. Então, eu apresentei o primeiro grupo, algumas já estão aqui, já me ouviram. Eu sou Solange Bezerra, estou com a Pepita desde o princípio do clube, já sou uma das veteranas do clube, e também tenho uma experiência muito vasta, muito grande em assessoria executiva e diplomacia, porque eu trabalhei na Embaixada Americana durante 30 anos, e eu carrego isso comigo até hoje, claro. Mas eu sou totalmente pró o você nunca parar de aprender, é o lifelong learning, né? Então, o MDA sempre teve a minha curiosidade, e a primeira oportunidade que eu tive, eu fiz o curso. E realmente me surpreendi desde o início. O que que acontece? Eu queria enfatizar aqui, porque eu sei que a Bela vai ter muitas coisas também para falar, e a Lúcia também já explicou bastante, mas eu queria enfatizar sobre a Lucy e sobre o idioma, porque muitas pessoas acham que isso é um bloqueio. Não é um bloqueio, não é um bloqueio. A Lucy já tem um inglês, assim, quando ela está dando treinamento, muito internacional, e fica fácil de entender. E todas nós estamos lá com diferentes níveis de inglês, umas excepcional, outras médio, e a gente forma um grupo, nós ficamos um time. Então, uma ajuda a outra. Participei de um inglês melhor, participei do grupo, dividido em dois, e a outra pessoa lá. Não faltou nada da língua, entendeu? Nada. Fora que a Lucy, ela é de uma leveza, que ela nos dá uma intimidade, uma coisa assim, tão fácil de fazer, tão fácil de acompanhar, que é impossível alguém perder alguma coisa. Não tenham medo disso, não tenham. Isso não é uma barreira, isso não é um problema. É um curso espetacular, é um curso que muda, é uma chave que muda na tua carreira, realmente, que acrescenta muitas coisas, e eu estou aqui disposta, já botei aqui nos comentários o e-mail que vocês podem falar comigo, com a Isabela, que eu estou aberta para todas as informações que vocês precisarem. Fiquem à vontade, entrem em contato mesmo, eu quero ver vocês lá, hein? Conto com vocês. Obrigada.
E é interessante também, né, Solange, que os exercícios que são feitos, né, que é muito mão na massa, é evidente, como são praticamente todo mundo brasileiro, então também se fala em português, né?
Exato.
Não é verdade, Solange?
Exato, não há nenhum problema. Não, eu não vi, porque eu já participei também como observadora, auxiliando na organização do curso, e todas as vezes eu vi, meu Deus, as pessoas devem ter tanto medo, mas não tenham, porque isso não é barreira, não é barreira mesmo.
Maravilha, obrigado, Solange. E a Isabela Ribeiro, a nossa embaixadora também do MDA Brasil.
Hello, Lucy. How are things? Good to see you. Boa tarde, meninas. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui, que deu tudo certo, né? Enfim, tudo conspira para o bem. Como vocês viram, né? Sem palavras para falar sobre a Lucy, sou muito apaixonada enquanto profissional de secretariado por todo esse trabalho que ela desenvolve e hoje muito orgulhosa e feliz de ser embaixadoras e ser a ponte para que vocês também alcancem essa oportunidade de estar do lado de uma profissional, de uma estrela, né, dentro do secretariado a nível internacional e principalmente usufruir desse conhecimento. Vocês viram, né? A cada palavra que ela fala é muito conhecimento, tem muitos insights. E eu fui secretária executiva por mais de 15 anos, né? Estou no clube, vai fazer 10 anos. Pepita maravilhosa também, a semestre, sempre nessa busca de desenvolvimento. Hoje, até compartilhando o que a Carol comentou, eu fiz a transição em 2022, inclusive foi o ano que eu fiz o MDA, foi a primeira turma aqui no Brasil. Hoje sou empreendedora, né? 100%, também voltada para o nível secretarial, e assim, posso te afirmar, né? O conhecimento, tudo que a Lucy traz no sentido de liderança, posicionamento, comportamento, que é o que se espera de uma secretária executiva de alta direção, né, que tenha toda essa liderança, que tenha essa visão de negócios. Isso vai influenciar tanto para você que está no corporativo, para você que está atendendo qualquer nível, qualquer mercado, seja do mais tradicional ao startup, e eu falo porque eu passei por todos eles, quanto você está no seu negócio também, né? Até porque, normalmente, quem faz.
Oi, ficou congelado? Opa, Bela, tá ouvindo? Você tá congelada. Eu acho que só a Bela que congelou ou congelou geral, Solange? Não, eu tô vendo você se mexer.
Só dela, eu acho.
Tá, Bela. Ok, ok. Então daqui a pouquinho a Bela volta. E
Só
Lucy,
Bela.
can you talk about the business case letter that your team, Solange and Isabella already have it to send it, but how it works because it's very effective, right?
Yes, very definitely. I think it's so interesting when we first got into this market because we hadn't realized we were going to have to persuade the assistants and then the assistants were going to have to persuade their businesses. And usually you're really good at understanding why you need to do it, but it's not so often that you are confident enough to go and make a proper business case as to why you should be doing this. So we thought we would make it really, really easy for you and write the business case letter. So literally, it explains why you should be doing the course. It explains what the organization is going to get out of it. It talks about the fact that you will bring ideas back that you will also share with other assistants that are there. So you don't have to do that piece. You literally just have to fill in all the gaps. And the gaps are things like what your flight is going to cost or what your accommodation is going to cost. So the rest of it is written for you. All you have to do is to copy and paste it and translate it into Portuguese if you want to. And then the rest of it is all done for you. So it shouldn't take up an awful lot of your time. The other thing that I would say to you is that, and I've put it in the chat, when I present, because I present all over the world, Corinne Hoisington, who some of you will have met last year, who is a phenomenal tech trainer, showed me that you are able to do PowerPoint and you are able to put up subtitles in a different language. So now wherever I am, I present in English, but it will have subtitles in the bottom. So I can set it to Portuguese. So you, of course, I would suspect you to have an amount of English, but if you are worried about not understanding because your English isn't 100%, really don't worry. We will put up the Portuguese subtitles so that you will understand exactly what it is that I'm saying in case any of it needs clarification.
Wonderful, wonderful. And the business case letter that you're going to be presented to your executive and HRs, Solange Bezerra and Isabella, they have it. We have the email sales@pepitaconsultoria.com that Isabella and Solange already put it in the chat. Let's put it again just for them to have it, okay? And Solange is going to translate the business letter also to Portuguese. So you have both versions. Normally the executives, they know English, but sometimes human resources, some know, some do not know. So we will going to have all the options, okay? the English we already have, and Solange will have it next week in Portuguese also. So just ask what you need, okay? And it will be a very, very great pleasure to receive you here in Campinas, São Paulo, at the Royal Palm Plaza. Remembering that we have 3 hotels here, 3 stars, 4 stars, and the resort 5 stars. We have special promotion codes that the girls also are going to be passing to you. And the idea will be to arrive on Wednesday, to start Thursday very early, and leave on Sunday after Fizek. And one last thing that is going to be a great thing till the end of the month of May. The early birds are receiving the option of having as a bonus, it's not part of the MDA, okay? But as a bonus, extra bonus till the end of May, you could choose or the ES Tech technology of Lucy that is online, or the ES Global, and that I'm also one of the speakers of the ES Global. Helen Monument that you met also is one of the speakers. You could choose one of them, and that is going to happen before Lucy comes for the MDA. So it's going to be great because then you're already going to be it's going to be all in English. So you're already going to be practicing also and preparing yourself, okay? And
Those are phenomenal. Both of those are phenomenal. I mean, Global is a 24-hour conference, which is all personal development, and you get 30 days after the event to watch any that you missed. And there's some really inspirational speeches in this one. I'm the lineup for this one is amazing. We're in the process of announcing it. You can go to the website and have a look, which we'll have a look. But tech is it's literally the idea behind tech is that it's all the technology that has happened in the last 12 months. So every year we give you an update over 24 hours on the tech that you need to know about. And we put it together on the basis that so many of you were saying that you feel like you're just one step ahead of your executives, but you really want to know a deep dive into what all this new technology is you're hearing that's being talked about. So again, that's a 24-hour event. Again, you get 30 days to catch up on it afterwards. So it's a really lovely bonus if you do book in the next few weeks to get access to either one or the other of those.
yes, definitely, definitely. Very, very. And Bella already came back. So do you want to finish, Bella, your talk?
Yes. Bem, só para, peço desculpas, eu estou com uma certa instabilidade aqui na conexão, mas só para fechar, né? Vocês, enfim, falar um pouquinho mais, reforçar. Ficamos muito à disposição, tanto eu quanto a Solange, a gente está no contato que nós passamos do Sales e já botei aqui também meu LinkedIn, ficarei muito feliz de conectar com vocês, a gente está muito feliz de estar, eu inclusive estou em Campinas também, então a gente está muito feliz dessa nova casa, vai ser realmente bem interessante. E vocês já perceberam aqui, né? Uma horinha com a Lucy já é muito valioso. Agora imagina 2 dias de imersão ao vivo. E realmente, assim, não tem preço, gente. É algo disruptivo para a carreira, para o pensamento, para a forma de pensar, né? Para o comportamento e muitos insights práticos para levar para a rotina. Na segunda-feira você já vai ser outra, né? Ali no tratamento com o seu executivo. Isso é muito valioso. Então, invistam, se puderem. Se não puderem, tentem. É o que a gente fala, não a gente já tem. Tenta com a empresa, negocia. Vamos botar para frente, porque por mais que você pense às vezes, o dólar, né, tá aí, mas se você ter alguém aqui no Brasil, aqui em São Paulo, pertinho, com uma certificação internacional, que isso é muito recente, justamente por essa parceria, né, do clube com a Lucy, com a Executive Support e tudo mais, se você pensar para fazer algo nesse sentido, você vai ter que ir para fora, você vai ter que ir para Estados Unidos, Europa, ou seja, falando de custo, né, fica muito maior, então o investimento realmente vale muito a pena, né? Não dá para negar. E a gente fica muito feliz de ser essa ponte aqui para vocês, tá bem? Aproveitem.
Obrigado, Bela. Obrigado, Sol. Eu vou pedir para todo mundo ligar a câmera, quem puder, tá? Que a gente vai tirar uma foto. We're gonna take a photo of the group. Ah,
Lovely.
quem puder ligar a câmera, liguem para que a gente possa tirar, que eu vou estar passando para a Lucy e colocando também nas nossas redes, né? Deixa. Maravilha. Deixa eu colocar no full screen. Opa, peraí. Agora sim. Ótimo. Vão ligando a câmera. Fiquem belas, lindas,
It's got to
maravilhosas.
look presentable. Big
Yes,
smile.
totally. Atenção. One, two, three. One, two, three. Wait a minute. Some just put the camera now. Todo mundo já colocou a câmera? Quem pode colocar a câmera? Ninguém de pijama? Tá bom, então vou lá. Um, dois, três. One, two, three. Vê se mais alguém tira também para a gente garantir. E deixa eu ver se entrou. Let me just check if everything is okay. Lucy, I'm gonna leave you for your final message to this wonderful group. Just for everybody to know, we're gonna have this live at the YouTube because we had more than 160 inscriptions, and but tomorrow is Mother's Day. So many ask for it to be record. So yes, it's going to be a record, and we're going to send it to all, not only the 165 that were made the inscription to see the live, but to everybody. We're going to be putting on the YouTube public. And on Monday, we're going to be sending it by the social media of the club, okay? And do not forget, please, to put your name, city, state, and your LinkedIn here at the chat. Okay, Lucy, with you.
Lovely. Thank you. And if I could have the photo, that would be great because I
Oh,
will put it out as
definitely.
well. But listen, what I would say to you is that this is a profession that is in an acute state of change. I am always saying it, but this year more so than ever. And so, whether you're listening to this on the recording or whether you're here with us today, thank you everybody who has joined. It is such an opportunity to understand with clarity what is going on with this profession right now and how you can maximize your potential to future proof your career. I want every single one of you to be leaving this course not worried about what's happening to this profession, but understanding how you can add incredible value to the companies and organizations that you work for and for your executives. This is a role that isn't going away. It's evolving. Again, but it's evolving in such a positive way, and I want you all to be able to take advantage of that.
Wow, definitely, definitely. And again, Lucy, thank you so much for your time,
Thank you,
for
Pepita.
your passion. This is nothing else than passion, that connection totally with your purpose, and be sharing that so much with the Brazil executive assistance community. I'm very, very happy with our friendship, with our partnership, and being the bridge, on everything because you go over the globe. So what you bring is not from one place, it's from all over. And I love that. So thank you for so much for the
And
opportunity to you here.
it's always such a pleasure to work with you, Pepita. You over the years you've become a very dear friend, and working with Solange and Isabella as well, it's nothing but a pleasure always to be back in Brazil. We always change lives there, and it's just phenomenal. It's one of my favorite places to be. So I shall look forward to seeing lots of you in the course, I hope.
Thank you. Thank you for so much, gente. Muito obrigado pela participação de vocês. Vocês vieram aqui em peso, eu já vi que está quase o mesmo número de manhã. Então, contem com a gente do MDA, com as duas embaixadoras, com o clube, né, que são tantos projetos. Entrem no site, né, do clube, do Executive Support, entre no site do FISEC, do Fórum Internacional de Inovação e Secretariado. Nós já estamos com mais do que 170 inscritos, né? Que vão vir presencial, né? Porque a nossa meta é 1.000 online e estamos só no início do ano, né? E vai ser em setembro, no dia do meu aniversário, 27 de setembro, tá, gente? Então, assim, a gente vai ter centenas, centenas, centenas. E daqui a pouco eu vou estar recebendo a Isabela aqui para almoçar, junto com mais lideranças de São Paulo que já estão aqui. E vamos estar trabalhando o dia inteiro, inclusive selecionando voluntários também da região de Campinas e arredores, que vai se juntar com o pessoal que vai vir de São Paulo e do Rio. Então, estamos super animadas. Super obrigado. A big kiss to everybody. Um beijo enorme para todas vocês,
Beijos.
tá?
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
And
Bye. See you
happy
soon.
Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy
Feliz Dia
Mother's
das
Day.
Mães.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Bye bye.